Hello, my name is Lois, and my husband Ron and I operate Lifeline Resources, and we are delighted to be the Canadian distributor for Discipleland. We asked Mark Steiner, founder and president of Discipleland, to answer a few questions for us that would help tell the Discipleland story. This video shows Mark answering those questions. We trust it will convey to you the unique approach that Discipleland has in developing the children's discipleship system, and will help you to understand why Ron and I are passionate about the Discipleland system for children. If you have any questions after viewing the video, please contact us at Lifeline Resources. Our contact information is at the end of the video. Thank you for viewing and enjoy.
My Christian education training was dramatically impacted by a class I took that was called Principles of Discipleship, taught by Dr. Howard Hendricks. During the course of that class, we learned what Jesus had done in the first century to make disciples, and the principles that were used, and exactly what Jesus was doing during those 3 years with his disciples. We also learned how those same principles impact the church today. I'll never forget the very last class session. We were all kind of realizing it's almost over, we're done after the end of this hour. And Prof. Hendricks walked in and said, "Men, I have one more assignment for you." We kind of looked at each other and thought, what do you mean, one more assignment? He looked around at the room and he said, "When I come to visit you at your places of ministry, I'm going to ask you just one question." And there was this pregnant pause, and he said, "I'm going to ask you to show me your disciples." All of us sat there and looked at each other. We were kind of stunned and silent, but also inspired to realize that the effects of what we had been learning need to be carried on from us to others, just like Jesus had passed it on to he and his disciples. It wasn't too many months later that I was involved in the trenches of a local church ministry. I began working very closely with children and saw quickly that they were eager, they were capable, but at the same time they weren't reaching their potential. They weren't growing spiritually nearly as much as they were capable. And it wasn't their fault. I began to wonder, what can be done to help kids reach their full potential as Christians? Once upon a time, not too long ago, parents would pick up their kids after church and ask a question similar to, "So, what did you learn about God?" On the other hand, today, when parents interact with their kids about their church experience, they'll often say, "Did you have fun?" See the difference in expectation taking place at the family level. On a more global picture, at local churches, not too long ago, they would often have very well-oiled and carefully planned out training experiences for children, for teens, and for adults, wanting to make sure that children developed into solid disciples of Jesus Christ and were equipped to serve him. Today, many churches have children's ministries that feature high-energy, entertainment-based programs that are designed to make sure that the kids stay happy, and then it's very easy to recruit volunteers. Very few children today even open their Bibles if they bring them. There are three real important words that Discipleland talks about all the time. They're know, love, and serve. Most Christian kids today know more about video games than they do about God. Most Christian kids today love peer approval more than they love Christ. And most Christian kids today serve themselves before they consider the needs of others. After we realized that our kids really weren't reaching the potential that they could, we began a lesson-by-lesson analysis of the various curricula that were available, and it was a very thorough study that I worked with in an intern in a master's program on a weekly basis. We listed about 50 or 60 different topics that kids needed to be exposed to at some point in their Christian education. At the end of our analysis of those curricula, we concluded that no curriculum existed that would actually help us create solid disciples of Jesus Christ. So we decided to launch our own. Before long, we put together a team of very capable people who were charged with the task of creating a Bible curriculum that would effectively make disciples of children. After 10 years of praying and revising and editing and writing and doing all of those things, Discipleland was born. Now, after all of that effort and those years of working and putting together a curriculum, our team at Discipleland is very excited to know that about 90,000 children each week are being discipled through those resources. Our main focus, our primary emphasis is on discipling, making disciples of children. Of course, we have Bible curriculum and we include skills and we include topics and texts, but all of that works together to build disciples among children. Making disciples, that whole emphasis is a lot different from what I'll call a part-time Christianity, where you go to church for a couple of hours on a Sunday and then nothing else really mirrors that emphasis for the other 170 or so hours of the week. Think about Jesus and how he interacted with his disciples. Of course, he did spend a lot of time with the masses, and he preached Sermon on the Mount and other very important teaching segments with a lot of people that were surrounding him. But Christ poured his life into the disciples. For the thrust of 3 years, he was with them day and night, and they were his earthly delight and his passion to make sure that when he left, they were prepared, they were ready to carry on what he had done and take it to that generation and go to the ends of the earth with it. And the book of Acts confirms that they were successful. When the apostles went from town to town, some of the detractors at one point said, "The people who have turned the world upside down have come here." Think about how children learn. A baby starts with just about nothing. He or she will pick up concepts, learn through his senses, and gradually build a skeleton or a foundation or a framework on which he can learn new facts, new understanding, and by and large grow and develop into understanding quite a variety of subjects. Let's take math, for instance. A typical first grader starts out with addition. He learns to add 3 and 3, and then he can learn some other more complex numbers. And after that, after he's mastered addition, he'll go on to subtraction. Then after that, multiplication, division, fractions, and some of the more challenging things, until he's able to, at a level beyond what any parent would ever imagine, that little baby would have been able to learn to understand non-Euclidean geometry and abstract algebra and things that are fascinating. But if we didn't start with that baby or with that first grader learning addition, you don't even think about trying to train him or her to understand concepts that are way out here. Unfortunately, strategic planning, that systematic approach to learning, laying a foundation, building on that foundation, is something that's often neglected in Christian education circles. Instead, there's more of a random approach where they'll teach a little bit about Jesus here, or this doctrine, or Moses will jump in here, or something from the book of Acts there. And kids who are trying to understand this, who haven't started with a framework of knowledge or of how everything fits together, they get confused and they think, well, we teach about this here and this here, but they can't fit it together. A discipleship system guarantees that the foundation is adequate to build upon, and it's also something that provides an integrated, intentional, coordinated strategy that will help kids grow to become all that the Lord wants them to be. Jesus, as a boy, grew in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. That was balanced growth. He commanded all of his followers to love the Lord our God with all of our heart, our soul, our mind, and our strength. Again, balanced growth. We're here to commit to help churches build kids who know God intimately, who love Him passionately, and serve Him selflessly. We're here to partner with you to be able to make disciples for life.